we are happy about the program. Na nyinyi wazazi nataka niwaambieni kwamba we shall be partners with you in the molding and coaching of your son moving forward after sherehe ya leo. Kwa hivyo wakati wowote ukiona tu neno ambalo you are concerned, piga simu kwa ofisi yetu na tutakuwa pamoja nawe. Sige supporting our time. We have done so for other, including parents, ambayo ni single parents, na tumefanya pamoja na wao tukienda mbele. So kwa neno hili la kwanza nataka nikupongeze mwenyekiti. Bwana Lele, pongezi ndugu. Uongoe kabisa. And the committee, I mean the board, I mean the parents committee, those who manage main journey, wakifanya na board. Ama jawale uongoe. Kongete ngotau, ingelenga puma bete ngala engap tu. Mege nyo niage kutinyo iki ko ito nyo ko urbi jenyo wongo yarab lele kwagas kitulia meje ako hindi ko mangrane lago ju engore na karara ako ga kimwa gele mami besen ata kidogo pongezi. Kwa sababu hiyo napeleka agenda kwa National Executive Council. We are in the process of reconstituting the culture board katika Emo Community Development Society. And I am persuaded, maana nimeona wazazi wa mwaka huu wa 2023, they are thinking towards improving and achieving the dream we have had for this organization. Hatua ya kwanza, the National Executive Council imempa ruhusa the Board of Culture to adopt out of your committee 4 people to be co-opted into the board. Number 2, we are persuading, because we are in the process of reconstitution, and we are asking to consider even further, so that we are going to give, and I am requesting Arab Lele, because of your experience, background, and you have demonstrated your heart for this organization, this department of culture, without this, Kalenjin, Majas Asomin, Agasome board, because you are soon going to have a chair to lead this board for the next 3 years. I am persuading all of you, as I have persuaded the National Executive Council, that I'm going to nominate Arab Lele to be the chair of the board. I only Arab Gaitany. Sige achieving the dream. Gigi. Kwa niaba ne ba bororieta Kalenjin ak kwa niaba ne ba organization tugul amaja tororun this board si query for the next 3 years renewable asagabit kete menje tenyu, and we start the infrastructure. So as we meet next week, the other are procedures. Thank you so much. Kota kororione amot Kalenjin jemiga chegogase enduget nguno ngalali kagigochi Arab Lele koek chairman en ngalegab pitonwekab Kalenjin netonojin menjosiekab emo ak pitonwek tugul. In fact, kimache asegeibunen tuguk chechang chekimache ke modernisen, kimache ke reformen everything. Suma kilokin gandoik tugul to nikab muiwek kilokin kele kakilokchi sambut ikoi boiyotab Kalenjin nele ngolach ko kiwot kongebeben kotoben timin ako kikebe sukul. We want to reform everything asokoek nenjoni ole mangune tuguk tugul chebo gaa. Otoje kumakas bichutok chekamwa nakasir metit maona ole alene tugul akot en ngalekab tuguk tugul chemokotin. So we will say more, but I have to. So touch the co-option letter, but not appointment for chair. Amachagonin parwet. Singi manda yung tuyo ni kongen bijugal lagay nam agodin and wanyaba ni baboruriye itoret ke realizen alegab mejet agawa cultural practices in Gorani. Congratulations.
Makofi kwa chairman, makofi. Pongezi kwa chairman.
He is a consummate public servant, and we would like to bring him to bring that particular expertise. Thank you. Kugatige, Ongoi, I present this letter to you. That is for the co-option and your members. Moses Kebut, you are joining the board of you are co-opted to the board of culture in Emo Community Development Society. Thank you. Okay. Then Mr. David Cherono. We want this thing to continue. And I'm so proud of you. You own the process. Thank you so much. And Naomi Chebi, congratulations, ladies. You are co-opted into the board. Imagine gaitu ingo gitilile ne money. Imagine wala goroni ne gaitu. Thank you so much. Ingel legi mo bete jebi oso is legi gure jemenja. Ne yogi otu tomre ni igojin rusa goro. Wania bane bokwani tukul. Igure jemenja. Arang gigeras tegistana ka gogonin bujoni. Ora ba kene ba? Thank you so much. Very good. Walio netai no nego mache amwa, and we are going to have a meeting with the board, and we will have an induction meeting, and then we will share the main vision of our community. Neno la pili. Neno la pili. Sababu ya, this is what is called in English language, for those who want to hear and understand, because they come from far. It is what they call the rite of passage. Correct spelling, R-I-T-E, rite, which comes from ritual. It has covenant, it has commitment, it has several. They call it rite of passage. In sociology, it has 5 components when you talk about rite of passage. The first one is that after a human being has been conceived in the womb of a woman, it takes 9 months to stay there. When that child, the process of bringing that particular child or conceived person into the world so that he can walk on his 2 feet and be in charge of himself or herself, it is called the birth rite of passage. That is natural. It is a process of what we call the natural self-preservation of humanity as a race. Number 2 is initiation, where you are promoting a child into adulthood. In our own culture as Kalenjin, this is the most important contribution a society gives to an individual. The third one is marriage, a union between a man and a woman. In Kalenjin, we have only one definition about the sexes that is involved in marriage. It is union between a man and a woman. Anything else is against our culture. Right, the third rite of passage is a union between a man and a woman. Any other crazy description is against our own cultures and against nature. The third rite of passage, according to our culture, is being initiated into eldership, to have a moral authority in society and custodian and a reservoir of knowledge of the community, and becomes a line of defense where a community can rush to. And that is the elders of society. This is what Kalenjin as a community, as indeed other African societies, have had it for centuries, and it has preserved our community. And final one is joining the ancestors. It's a rite of passage. It's called death, it's called whatever, but when you go there, you maintain what we call a sense of belonging, having the history that you belong, and you hear what Kiswahili puts it, and I want to summarize. They say, wahenga walisema. Mulisikia hiyo? Kimwa boisiek chebogen. Ukasema utaga? Yoko ichutiotoge. Iwendi age manda bororiet irip chengolindog. Sumawechwe kebi gobetyo. So komwa kitengele kimwa boisiek chok kouni. Building on the foundation of our elders that we wanted to preserve. That is point number 2 that I wanted to share. Because of that, rite of passage in terms of promoting a young man to adulthood is very important. There are only 2 which are very important contribution by society to any young man. Any young man, young woman. When you are called upon to join and summoned by the society to practice this, it is very important to us. Kali, yatetaeta werik, katororeta TV komangune lakwandi ko epik cheechen, kotetutien nebo komonut eng bororietab Kalenjin nemami kiy nekeiroge. Okaso, chotok oeng chematinye mokoryo anan ko kibanania. Chotok oeng chematinye chi neo, matingoi chito neo netya netene 100 kotai inyomenjoni iyeku kwamba tarusyo ak iyeku kobo tarusyo. Mami kainet age, mami chekelenen mesimiwa anan ko ng'o, yani kerget tugul. We are eating kimi kerebet agenge. Chito neo eng tumi ko boyob tum ak motiryot. Umokase ngalechoto. Ang biik chekatebete panel nebo kamotirin, kinyekinde chairman, kinde nango, sikase kele mi chekelen motirin ko bokol. Nekituyu ko boywech boyob tum, akontochi tumto. Kebwa tugul akot ane kwa patron, anyasise kityo kokonye, akoyoni aker ale kakweri tumto komye kot koit tai. Eng Kalenjin komami chi amu banani neketekwa tum. Mami. Akon komatinye teta anan ko tuguk chetoketoe ko eng bororietab Kalenjin, tumto koba nebanani akoba tumto chito nemokoryo. That is why ngomaweka werit koweka mama. Ngomaweka mama koweka bakwelaita nekibo boyot. Anan kwa kopkamenyi netupchok chepkamet akonyor tumdo makietin. Number 2, rite of passage of marriage is available to every individual in Kalenjin. Ako chito kibanan ya magiyete niyot. That is why kimu konyo ito sandet. Kung matinye tuga konyo niya kwanget. Ako lasete kotunya barugiagi ogetutuga. And that is why in Kalenjin you could not pay dowry at once. Iko nutuga tukul. Yo bichitu sinakimsigis kidogo Secretary General. Nachogurumito kipsigis yani le namanam. Mga nalgyosugunen no atebo kipsigis bukyugunen lemega anang onungulo. Ache Kalenjin acha magyame klentelian di kiamoror. Wais tumda che marer nengele ngarer gi yapta. Amu magmache goror chichi. Okase yana mogase. SG. Maji kipsigis ya le kometagi gile namanam. Kalenjin ko gigilen konyo teta nendo uwang moita. Wais agror yagole. Age ito kopga. Age kanjuna lak kot ko ile kanam sogogo. Ujut sogogurere. Kot ko nyo chep togogo tisis. Oge gengi warwe ara. Kot ki goji muita ko ibu konyo konye. Akatage bang ko tungolil boyota maliban. Konyo liban weri. It was duty of the akotache. Iliban arabusia na ituga ipkotar. Lagi negingetu nego angwanu. O in geli larabusia na chai ko ikama magolegi ko nget nego angwanu. O leji oyacha mugilil chagonor boyota nyu ane nego no. Because in Kalenjin you cannot say because that one is a poor man cannot marry my daughter. No. Iatete. Kalei. Iatete. Kalei. Iatete komatinya masabak soy. Wait. Amagigirenji ko bot kemei kegura ke ko bot iwot. Wait hinne ke banan yara ko chita mutai. Iro re chita ke 1969. Ole where gagibos imute geter kota tuniya ugirwagin de tap geter megugi. Many years back, I'm your no bagra. Magi ureji gobot kemei, anage ureji gobot ne. Goboti what? Therefore, this program, sons, is very important. We are performing it on you, so that you carry it over, and you perform it to your children, generations to come. It is very important because it is the leveler of all. Emi menja ko magna yele ongo yeger jebio so jugatige mu apoy se jugatige mo kwaji se genu yere ona me mo kwaji kai gaske mo provision anyi acha meigweja dogi go ni ngolin acha ni go itonda Kalenjin olegi ngete. Jambo la tatu ambalo nataka niseme na ni ya kumalizia. Alafu niwaalike tuombe. Ni kwamba rite of passage has a cardinal and principal role. Why it is important? Why are we performing it? Number one, it is to enhance self-preservation of a people. I want to repeat it. To enhance self-preservation. To enhance self-preservation. So that the community can survive like it has survived over the centuries. Kan tumta ni ba iba chini ki gure ne kimnande Vincent kobo komalo yebo. It is about 250 years ago. Kuka chom nyo boy sekso mogu amutenget ne giyagen jemase. Kugure njen ngeti gen jemase koyai muma. Kotoben bigap Kalenjin kole ngot kebe kouni kebeku. So they started a traditional ritual of rite of passage which has sustained the community of Kalenjin for 250 years, which is now where we are. Can you say, Pabal Ata Ain Awanom? Where we are now is that the same cultural practices is being challenged by the fourth industrial revolution, the digital revolution. We can no longer sustain the methods we have used in the past to pass the message to future generations. This particular digital age, with three components which are very devastating if not managed well. Number one is the big data. The amount of information accumulated and put together in a very small space is too much. This young man is among, in sociology, the most informed generation than any of them since the Industrial Revolution in 1840. This one is ahead than any other generation. This is the most informed. And I want to repeat it. This is a generation that is exposed to more information, but without a capacity to interpret it and apply it and use it. So the big data has three components. One is the velocity of information. Every minute, the amount of information and interaction in the world is in thousands. Number two, it has what you call the capacity to create silos and compartments to grade every, and they are having it handy. So much that if they want to get information about news, it is on a pattern. If you want to get information about business, it is on a pattern. If they want to interpret something, it is on a pattern. The third, which this particular big data does to humanity. It's not the speed of information and not the silos of information, but it is the amount, the volume of information. It is too much. That is number one. Number two is what they call VR, that is virtual reality. Yani bringing the natural and put it into a computer so much that you don't need to go to Masai Mara to watch the animals, you have it here. That you can no longer train by taking a small aircraft to learn to be a pilot. You are taken into a small cubicle and a simulation is done and you learn how to fly a jet when you are in your own closet. You fall with it, you shake with it, you actually go into the sea when you are inside. It is called virtual reality. Even training of soldiers, which is coming, is more of mental training rather than even feel. This one is very serious. And then the last one is what we call AI, artificial intelligence, where they are putting the head of a human being into a computer. Do you know today that you can travel from Tokyo, Japan to New York with a robot without assisting it? Did you know that? They can appear at the airport, register themselves, and they tick the box. And if you can check passport application, what you call visa application. Have you seen a place say, are you a human being or a robot? That is not a joke. It is true. It is true. These are the ones who can drive a vehicle alone and they can stop it somewhere. Because of this particular digital challenge, amacha moiwok sigik chomi yu ak chomi kaolin system nebo tumdo must be reorganized in such a way that it will make sense to the future generation. And that is why, through research and through immense discussion, when Christianity was celebrating 100 years of evangelical movement about few years ago, and the other churches from the days of Ludwig Graft in 1843 and the Africa Mission AIM and Africa World Gospel Church in the 1889 and 1900, when we were celebrating 100 years, we the theologians in Bible school in the 80s, we had a discussion to review the movement of Christianity. And the following became our observation. Number one, and this one I will say in Kalenjin, Keta bembandap kaniset en Kalenjin konamgea kwandap tai. Kenyoru kele kalya Kalenjin sogo membership in a local church ko en kila biik tisap taman ko chepyoso ko tisap ko mureni ko somok. Ako chotok muren chotok somok ko aeng en chotok somok ko manamdoi kalwal ngolyotab Jehovah. Ko imejas ele kiyang ne. The second challenge is that he take up chepto through the movement in the last 65 years about feminism. Keyochi empowerment chepto. Kowe kweritab Kalenjin murenet. Konam ko terterit ako wisisit. Ipkonyokorit. Nesai nginyoru boyotab Kalenjin. Kung ngololi kokurenin werit kamet mam wale nagene boyot otebein mama akoyolei weri mai nei legi bagagen komit kongwong nito kitinyo ko chepyoset ako kingonyoni ko kwondongu kingonyoni ko chengonu sandet mele kinyo ko chengonu in weri umawagas noto Glechini get to right, ma. Yani, kowekwe, jita kumeko play, kumeko ya role nengi. This became our problem. And the men became weaker and weaker and weaker. Ako ingu na, ko boldos chebyoso. Ulongalal jine iwe ba isik. Kangalal jine ba isik. Pikte kangalal jine. Ami yuwa chera, pororiye. Kele mitu galak chegero betaban kele na iyana ilenda gigiro betaban ta magsarwe moni kinyol ge taben ge ngonda ogase keje gi chungusa ngele gi meano yenyoru gele ngagi metumdo inga tumbindet ko gaitu netai konyo katartu yene gi boy in Berlin conference in 1844 and 1845 Koloba, Gomia, Africa, Amugimake Congaren Africa, the first front to Conga is their culture and cultural values. It is documented. It was written and it was commended by the governor, they used to call the super governor, Negiba India. On his voyage in 1832, he traveled to Africa and he came to South Africa and he came across Africa, he went back. During Cologne meeting in 1845, he was among the people who talked. And he wrote this before the conference. An African has the best culture. The culture that does not discriminate against the poor. Their system of economy can sustain. And he said without conquering it, the European culture will make no sense. Kintulas, Kongo Itugeba, he said supported missionaries. So those who interpreted the Bible, in the Tapkai, Satan. In Kalenjin, in the Tapkai, wagale ancestral. Yani Melen wagale Chesawil, in the co ancestor. Gele Gigure Lakwani Oigap Kai. No, not of it. Igure Poise Chegipatai, Igure Gainai, Chegibabik Chegindoi. Because of that misinterpretation, why to Chumbinet Kole Chaurigani, Monataka Fanyani, Kole Poise Chegiba Maina, Agingi, Kole Tunataka Kutairisia, Sisi Tunabanyanga Toara. When you Chumbina Tagino Kwaga up to all his Kogisir Kitabu Nagigure, the forgotten book in 890 from 1890 to 1905, 06. Asir Kitabut, the Gure, Nandi, the language, and the folklore. You need to get that book. So Zumajige, it's one of the forgotten books. Another one, it is written in 1964, 60s, 59, the Giguren, the running tribe. Then you want to know more, read the book, the Giguren by Anderson, the eroding commons. Now, they say, that is what they say. In fact, in 1964, bright decision. Because of that, it drives their determination. Two things. Number one, number two, that is why Koitalel was murdered and assassinated in 1905. Kalenjin without Tumdanywa, no, they are ordinary. Kalenjin without Orgoik, they are ordinary. Feminism in the world, stability of families. System patriarchy. Number two, promoted legislation. Then you're one you need to go to Mongan boy, you're top college, Megongan tie, a Megongan let. Cometagane, Javiose, Megongan tie, a Megongan let, Golengo, the Goligo, Gingo, Levondo, boy, your Mama, we jungle legend Gazit boy. When you need to go on and ye, or you get good boy, yon and ye, ten or two tigabin. They will just let us look at the culture itself. Ke was tumda in the mesa. Now, Motiga calling the spiritual leaders are professionals in the 80s and in the mesa. Get up and to chop tool tumdanyo agetebe Jesugil. Hinderek yon to me we move. Then I got you just take you can get duldu. Away Ningelengi Mutumbi of Waganis and Mogajo Boys. Arai, Hinderek yon. The it is only not more than 5%. The rest is a social order. The rest brings about sense of belonging. Arangolwa King Apkage Chomyeji, Kelonge Wechim Big Up Kalenjin Tumdanywa. Oh, you again, Kewalgitio, Ke Chapke reform and the syllabus. So that we modernize and make it in tandem with technology, education, and the social revolution. that got taken place. So we started with what we call a trial program from 1985 to 1995. Kingo itu kena mate takwik keyo kidogo kipsigis kidogo olimba tugen kidogo kitinye lembus. By 1995 ko menjo siya chagi kitinye ko karibu kwa eji njaba kipka chaba kanisa. The third thing nagisumbanej kanuret nagiginur lago. Kiginur bi chagi kibaganisa ako amut ko ba tumda na kibagab Jimmy. Ko kiginur ko ngetep nyongi kimnyegei kinuren Juma kinuren Sawe kinuren Korongoro en big tinye to tinye pororiosek to tinye ibinwek tugul ketebe gegele amwogot kandoik chegisome siasa chekiakiyatita en kap Jimmy ko kibo som tumdo kipkap finally kikiwekta tugul lagokab meskenye ak ingen ilen tumdo nyo ko chepkinoria kechupchin tuguk oeng. Number 1 maegu motirio, number 2 maegu kandoin kelamu kibitar tumdo. That is why kibilongo bokotaborio ngondo bi kondo ngo mi oret ko chililio amu chubutik chekikichube en emet ipkenerekse kiboitinikab Jehova kele kanyo chubwe biik alake chekanyo kobasken nyokoe kimumain akole kitene Jehova komi Jehova kipsengwet kine nekiyak kele amu kikiwiny tumdo kiunge lagokchok chemi kaniset. So what we did kele ngale nenyo tumdo king achek lembus kingochoruge eng chakayayun kobunu ngatip kong kororoku tumdo en timboron konyoni kochutu lembus ko ngale kikikoite tuga lengi nyobuch ya kikonok tuga kokingekonu tuga kobunche tumdo konait kemwa kele bas tumi number 1 kobo kwanisiek chito neikoito tumdo yakai kokoito boyo kokochin werit tumdo kokasabichu bas kemwa boisiek kokakichuru kele kimache akename kapkoros ongikochin kristianik tumdo lagokchok kikochas tumdo makenau 85 kekweriu kele tatangeiten 10 years kongetik chekikiyatite akikochi tumdo kongot ko kikilabata agenge nekikwal busiek kwalen oeng anan ko somok cheit koberegei akoi konge kimira. Bas, because of that, Matatas, we began to institutionalize in 2001. That is why we registered a society. We me muchi iyaege chichoge ni kweriot arab la maun nagile ibasabas chep Kalenjin agiyachi tumdo ilyai mararima angiyai chogan urimo sagan a system negigure inheritable system. That is why we have a board kanyara nyoni arab lele go jogo go chairman pani go bunne go ingoritaren ko ipondage utebe ngechere go kweri ko yapta wes tumta Kalenjin ne yapta ge gusilangwet kot ko itieben wagi chebwani eng imbiti atare anan aibu go nyongolyo de balet. So we agreed that we reform it and we do it. Ko yugi atya nyongelen ko ongete jeto lagene am mutoriye lokwe to unde gorok wo tumdo gorok. So ingenyisiek kemite tayo 1 year or so ke gure ke Kalenjin tugul kakat kamwachi kole gure kotab biot ke gure ke Kalenjin tugul sikiyasten tumdanyun koek agenge. Mama agenge ya jeme chetugul koboru nenyi ingel yemengen ile kitaune ngano tumdo ko tai nam kityo kibarbarchi matile nalen nyege netai barbarchi nye maya lakini ko kale kole awe karawa kole ketuyas Arab lele agen Arab koech gekurge komakikur kosowe kibinda nenyoni amu karibu ibinda nyo chutok chemache sokoyai transition initok kengalalas kekur pororiet tugul kisaste eng emet tugul akeyatita koek tumdo kwagenge. This is tuyet kole quick. Yeah. Kayejegitu ng'alek. Bas, amajale jagongoi detendanyak muren akwek tugul chekobwa aberurok eng kainetab Jesu. Bas, amun nekanget nebo mwisho and the process nekibendi ko nekikuren stage nebo Kalenjin ko nebo kamanga nekitoken werit konyo gaa konyo kotyech ng'atatek eng gaa aketach eng gaa kokochi boiyotet ak yenyo wering'ung gaa wering'ete menjoni kotain nenyo netai amu en Kalenjin ko kikitoken tany amu kiteta ko kit nekiki ko manachi ko ngibo chebo modern ko you give the best that will form an economic foundation for your son. Maloge gerbi utenyu nebo saet. Siakon ko mainyoru eng olin kamanga ngomache kolany ndegeit lakwet ra kemboi koberurot kakotaka kenyu amache itagen kap korosuni ko emo. This is now what we call the reintegration of the son back home. Kabun gratut, kero gratut ni kikitay ni mitap teni. Ko kikirije en kurgat si chutuenga. Mau notoke? Bas, ko yotok chinige ngudas amache satay gunoto. Kung getaje amwale witachweri ngung obo. And don't outsource integration of your son into the society. Be available. Rani, amuga gobun rite of passage, you are getting a new clansman. Itaborengu. Itungogura go you ane nyagole jan. Weri, abo joge ngala. Belin ta gure nen ngeta. Ole jan ya gure nen na ilaga ingelin. Ole ga gure nen bornyo. Nemingin. Ara ga gi mutura weri gum ne bor ngom. Nemini imutate. Obendate tuai. Jebioso ni amuga ko nyowerit ka teje jebioso magai no gigeno teje jebioso kweri kwa got ko ekpi toben weri ngungen gonyet chebo bandap tai agi mokchine mie giro ile kama golle ko matile ga gerin go iberber ga mai nai geso ara go ingeni nye ile gine lejin baba ongen alle ayegu chino kitebie guni baba magiya gine uni chine unye ke gonyitin agibor chiweri kondit kinaile kago nyora gine tegistenga eguchi eguchi le majita manara bay ogo petigri gamet iki chongo sango tom gitu tabe na wena gasie lejo go singi se ngai go singi je murenik ile is nyogo si chera toge encourage them ogo sen alia de ba moy wo we mami chine ribu la kwengo si ribe en jotok amajo makwak bandap tai le bata chametap ke mwisho o mengiga Kalenjin jomi Masai mosubor wachi wamngaliap tabi umetengel yataboriet okan kidogo kutotungo bwa boisega Masai kola ginye geso minara banu mindoywe obasi lakini mage somge agete kangalolwo jebioso na gumiyo ko mele kangalolwo ko inege kangalolwo ngo jebioso ne baboyo kalei oribwe bi gap Kalenjin jemi Kajiado amugiribe ogibi gap koron kale gibirwe gura amagiso aragiso me boiyot kandoindetab emoni lechin kotobenwech lakwa agenge eng yu. Kamwa eng yo amoche asomok kwa boiyot. Kale ii okase kale tumete ng'elyeptab koroni. Akoi konyo kocheng'at boisiekab koroni kolondoiwech. Akichomiechi notok nebo oeng ilechini Mungu nekiyai barak ak ing'weny kongoi nekakonech baunatet ketawalan Kenya. Nebo oeng ko ki biikab Kalenjin. Imuch ketinye ng'al tutigin chekimoisotien keterolocho kibo Munjusi ole kinye kicham koskoleng yo ko kimyono amitwogik makitugun cheking'ering. Ebendi siketumdaenge Munjusi ako ka tubo Munjusi chekami yo. Ketienchinigei koskoleng ko ki lagok yo kimoche koamisie. Komi chito nekwamdoi en sutek amdoi ngwek en bekab kong. Ketienchin anyun kele cherirei komi chorwe amdoi sutek kimye komi chorwe. Yokas notok lakini kitun kakibetun kokioriop talai eng gaa keng'ololchigei kelechigei kokiwerik matiny ngo kikimaisoti Munjusi amu kakebetun ongenyochingei kat eng ramrumitekab cherirei amdoi sutek kimyet komi chorwek akechomye keku kot agenge kotab talai. Kamwaun alechi akelechigei makimokengei kiy ngichut koin akarusin akobe ak korkeng'ung komakimokengei. Kerka kit nekikilen kurget kerusin akelia akichut akoutiechot tugul akechomye kebunchi chi agenge. Asome Kalenjin eng ng'weny tugul ole mitei ole nguno chekimi sang chekimi ko kingebortosi kesome kole chom biik alak kole arap Kosgei bo iman tos kisir iman. Alechi kisire kakas eng muguleldo akase eng oretab Jehova ale kisire. Kole kisire iman komi tiondo nino nebo tuguk kotinye karik. Ale acha matin karik kibokoi long'et. Chukam kong'ololwech arap Tengechai 1969 akilechi kalya mumiat nekome eng tulwet yu ne karisiek chebendi kotokchinigei Katundu. Ketebe kelechi boiyot teben boisiek chekibo Chumo melen kiabotes yokase kityo ale achumbirenien yo. Kotebe boisiek chekiechen kolechi aramui kiya mumiandani. Ako kolechi arap Tengecha mwogin echotion nekikitoror eng emoni ako kikimutyi Kenyatta en 1964. Ong'etieni obokokyi mumek biikab kobo mumek amu ng'ete mumian neng'et kwam chito nekiame mumek akwam nekikerei akwam nekikosei obokokyi chebo mumek kwam mumekwak. Lakini otobe long'eto ketoben as long'et mami long'et en Kenya nebo bororiet age noechin ak nebo Kalenjin. Nebo Kalenjin ko koi kibo kotab koi long'et okase ana mokase ale kibo kot ngoro. Asome biikab Kalenjin wherever they are. Amelen kele kasomin ile alen komi kiy nekalen itoreto. Mangitoben ile alen komaisa Mungu akoisa berurwokik chekikona Jehova akoisa kit nekaiberureno bikyok akoisa Jehova akoisa kandoinatetab emoni asoisoin siisa ikonon. Katokomi nekai ako kasimo choron. Tokomi ne. Tokomi kiy age. Vincent tokomi ne. Nakong'et komakemwa iman kityo kekemet. Koisa nyun akiberur murenchun eng kainetab Jeiso. Asome biikab Kalenjin tugul otebi neng'om. Otebi neng'om. Kumokase kale otebi neng'om. Arai ndese ng'eng'ate imache sikone ine. igone ine. Sire nekakokone Jehova ongerib laitoriat ongetonon ak president. Ngetonon ak president. So koba wemoni arap Moi. Kokicham kowineni kura en 30% only. Amu kikaistake biik chechang koba sang. Lakini biikab Kalenjin chekimi serikali, biik chekimi kandoinatet, kokiek akenge, akonomyo koek akenge, aketuch boiyot akoi mwisho. Angchu, mangu biik kokikondena en WhatsApp. Kole kakere en ole kile kotesetai, kekere keine. Ongerib emet. La mwisho kwa ngondokere en ngalekab uchumi kowui amu we must make hard decisions. So malo ngeite kenyino lo barawetab mut tisab lo kokakowek urwet kokararanit. Maya. Basi ngatarchi yotok amu kamache ale mamache koma twaise ngololchi bororiet. Amu melen it is life actually, kasi biik en Kenya ak sang. Amache ngomangu ngetichu ketil kirwoget ne kararan. Ara amache asomas ketononen kaptuiyet komugul. Sokobwoni oibu kelyek chemiach akobo tumi.
Jehova nekichobwech oret nebo katuyet en Kiptayat Jesu akituye Kalenjin koik kot agenge.
Kotomo anyun akur akochi boiyot tum kotet akokon banda. Mayakur chorwenyu Arap Vincent kityo kakatiet abo. Kaitu kanata katwaise tumdo. Amache tele chamgei. Yebo kimulya koba. Very good.
Kongoi patron bai nafasi ni kasari samwach kongoi emo sigik tugul materenik en boisiet nekokwai nemie kakibwa yu kiboisiek akichek chekiribe akichek atebet ak indetab bororiet. Tumdo ko kit nebo komonut en kimugulmet age tugul. En boisiek choton bo lagochu kokomong lakwet en tumdo kuno kokokonin ibwat kabwatutiet neter kosir nekobo amut amu kainyoru chito age nekakobunjin nekaron koiku manung'otiot kuinye. Sigindet ne noto mama murechu mi tai yu namwoe nguno amu sokoi lagochu komong kokokermengei. Maimuch akot kibar soloptiot, maimuch akot keyai makosa age tugul amu tumdo kotilil, makimeche akot kobit ng'olyo age tugul komi lakwet menjo. Unoto anan ma unoto. Ko chepyosok amu manyoru nafas amu mami nafas abunu masomnandi ole mi tumdo mwenyewe kimasom nekisome tumdo. Kelen kongoi amu nenyo tumdo nakikase komwoe patron kole ngechek kikochi tuga ko kikochi Nandi amu kibo tumdo Keiyo ak Nandi ak Maasai. Kebunu Nandi achek kelen kongoi patron. Kwa niaba nebo my late cousin brother James Bates ne noto kikau kalyoto de kemo abaibai mising ko ki family nenyo kele kongoi mising amu kiotesetai boisionoto. Sigichu atorchinigei sigikab murechu. Yekakomong mureno kuno kong'wan kut boiyondoni. Yekakwo tum lakweng'ung iribegei boiyondoni kakong'wanit kutit. Ngumamwa kiy. Tes kondet netinye boiyot yekakomong wering'ung menyin ak wering'ung ibechi boiyot amu kotko boiyondoni akong'war korokta kometinye chi. Kasenaran yo boiyot kapsa materiot ne noto kuno. Ara amache aib nafas kitikin yoto kotetegei matirenchu ak lagochu olechok. Pongezi ngarab lelei boiyotab kap yukimam nebo kamongo. Kenai anyun patron Kenai chito nekikochi kangalal akobo Kamrotok. Boyondoni ko Chepkimom. Bo kamongo. Ng'omotiot nekineti chumbindet ng'alek kemwoe koroni. Kokichenge tiondas nekimwoe ng'alek kwa koroni takekochi ng'echeret. Alen kekochini komainai. Boyon Mongo neking'ololchin chumbindet amu king'om Mongo. Kokongoi pongesionab lelei. Ara mutu tamamache tanokul. Amu ng'alek ko cho kamwoe matiriot neo. Matiret ole hai.
Very good. Makofi.
Asante sana.